We did it! It was a hard-fought battle, but we finally rid the world of the rot! Now everything will go back to normal. Oops! The sky is falling. This seems much worse than the alternative. Look out!
What do a cursed war chief with guard-breaking attacks, a sly half-person, half-fox with a sickle, and the laziest druid in fiction have in common?
They're each members of a band, but they all play the triangle.
Close, but no. This trio of misfit adventurers are the 3 playable characters you can take control of to save the world from the rot that's currently infecting the land.
How in the Triforce's triangles was that close?
Helvetii is a game set in a fictional 100 years BC, where we find the war chief Divico, who recently destroyed an entire Roman legion with the help of a boon granted to him from somewhere. Unfortunately, upon accepting the boon, the rot began spreading across the world. Now it's up to Divico, infected by the curse due to his short-sightedness, Renart, a sassy fox person, and Namios, the laziest and least effective druid to exist, to find the source of the rot that threatens the land.
Okay, stop. I have to know why you're hating on the druid.
Druids are supposed to be in tune with nature and control over plants and such.
Okay. And?
Namios does none of that. She snaps her fingers and her bird Karos does all the attacking. The most she does is swing her wand and summon an ice spike to spit at enemies. Familiars are friends. They're not supposed to do all your work for you. Give Karos a break and use those bare feet to do some damage.
You do have a stupid point, but you're ahead of us. Roll it back, Mr. Anti-Druid.
Fine.
Level progression in this game is very simple. You'll fight your way through an evil forest, a burning village, a frustrating mountain peak, and the Devil's Sphincter. Rinse, repeat. The first 3 areas have 2 levels, or acts, each, and the final act is one long maze you'll waste your keys and revives in until you literally fall into the boss's area. Each act leads you to a boss, the first of which in the forest, village, and peak can have their guard broken. Then you play keepy-uppies with them until they cough up money and healing like threatening piggy banks.
Then you continue on to the next act, but not before receiving a report card, reminding you of your grades from each slappy meal you were served. You see, almost every single room in each level is a fight. You're locked in, enemies appear in waves, and you defeat them. Each successful hit causes your combo meter to go up, and words sometimes appear to show how impressed the game is with your combat skills.
Sure, combat skill. Right.
After you beat the last enemy the game served in your slappy meal, the screen gets foggy, and you get to see your grade from that fight, ranging from E all the way to S.
My guess is E is the worst and S is the best because grading scales mean nothing anymore.
If you fought well enough, one of 2 treasure chests will sometimes appear. This wooden one, which will spit a bunch of gold keys, red HP restoring orbs, and blue MP restoring orbs at you, or this locked stone one, which will spit either all that at you or give you a relic. These stone ones require keys you can find in vases, pots, graves, enemies, and other treasure chests. There's one more way, but we'll get to that.
We're fairly certain the grading system really only takes into account your combo meter because you can fight with the grace and fury of Hylia herself, but if your combo count is low, your grade is worse. But if you lazily call your bird to flap its wings at 2 enemies repeatedly with no thought put into how long that takes, immediate S grade!
After you beat the boss of an act, you get a final report card detailing the grades you received from each slappy meal, and the boss itself, even though you saw each grade already. This really seems like a leaderboard thing, then you get a random amount of cores.
How much is each grade worth? Who knows? Does getting a high grade give you more cores? I have no idea! Does the boss grade mean cucko dung to your overall core haul? Brilliant question.
Yeah, this screen is extremely vague. No matter how many S grades I got, the amount of cores seemed to remain roughly the same no matter which character, how many battles, or how well I did in the boss battle. The only real variable that has any effect on your cores is the difficulty you choose before each run. Higher the difficulty, the more cores you receive.
After you beat the Act 2 boss in the first 3 areas, you get a nice sit down with all of your partner characters. You can converse with them, you can talk with them, you can listen to their woes, you can find a 4th way to describe chatting with them, you can rest to restore your HP and NP, or you can do the only one thing that matters.
Gamble!
Pick high or low. Roll one of 3 dice. Decide if you want to increase or decrease your bet. Roll the final 2 dice. If the total roll of all 3 equals 11 or above, it's high. If it's 10 or below, it's low. Depending on how you bet, you lose all the coins you bet, or you get back double. If you won and all 3 numbers are the same, you get back triple your bet.
And that's it. One chance to win or lose big. Then you sit there all night thinking about your addiction because everyone knows you can't gamble and rest.
That's illegal. The AGA, or whatever the 100 BC equivalent was, will be all over you before you can count your first sheep. Then the next day happens, a menu appears where you can pick the character you want to take on the next area with, and you can spend your cores on the obscenely expensive minuscule increases to your abilities. Bet you were wondering why James wasn't starting a new religion in honor of this game's double jump, huh? That's because he had to purchase that extra jump.
Not a fan of that. Anyway, after all this talk of grades, treasures, core collection, and combo meters, it's time to tell you how you get all these things done. Combat!
We are 300% sure you couldn't have put that puzzle together yourself. Combat consists of you mashing Y until enemies stop moving. You can press up and down while mashing Y for upward and downward aimed attacks respectively. You even have air attacks. Holding Y will charge a stronger attack, but in a game with a combo meter that doesn't allow for charging this in the middle of a fight, you're better off completely forgetting this exists. Pressing X will activate each character's specific ability. Deedlit will use a really strong sword attack that can break most enemies' guard and interrupt their critical red attacks. Renart will assume a parry stance and will counter most attacks. Countering at the perfect moment will execute a perfect parry, which is just a stronger counter. Namios will unleash a mana explosion and take on a powered-up aura, at which point she can tell Karos to continue attacking for her, but attacks do double damage and her MP ticks down. If it hits 0 before you press X again, she'll be slowed until it recharges some.
Each character also has a projectile if you press A. It consumes MP. B is to jump, R is to dash and dodge. Your dash can even destroy certain projectiles from enemies. It can be powered up further via relics to do damage too.
Relics are things I'm going to make James talk about because he didn't inform me that wall of text was coming in the script.
Fine. Relics are ability-altering items you can find in chests or buy a second way that we'll get to that will make your attacks more powerful. Some will add an attribute like poison or fire to your projectile, others will grant you extra jumps. There are a lot of these and many of them are character-specific and will alter their personal X ability. Oh, it should be mentioned most of these do not carry over between your party. If you find one that increases damage for high combo counts, the other two characters won't receive that relic as well. It's kind of frustrating, specifically if you're looking to, beat the game.
Relics aren't the only run-altering resources seldom found throughout each act. There are also divine icons which you can find at these altars. There's a system to this that's a bit confusing. Upon first encountering any altar, you're given the option to spend your max HP to equip that icon, or take some damage to change the icon to a potentially better one. If you take the hit, another icon appears, and the price for the max HP you lose for equipping it is lowered. We recommend equipping icons because each one gives your whole party some type of skill. You may take less damage, or you get poison immunity, or your luck increases. Whatever that means.
Divine icons give you 2 new attacks you can use with ZL and ZR. Both of these consume mana most of the time and will really help you out in a pinch. Specifically Belisama, which will use a screen-consuming attack that only gets more powerful the higher your combo count is. The ZR attack is usually the more powerful, more expensive ability. The ZL one is usually weaker and costs less. Using either of them will put them out of commission for a while, then you have to wait for them to recharge.
Alright, we'll finally get to that thing that James keeps alluding to. In addition to opening chests, breaking pots, vases, and graves, and winning the Keepy Uppies award for most standard attacks used against enemies that somehow still awards you an S grade, you can purchase relics and stat-altering items in this shop.
Where the best character in the game sits, this owl who lacks a name, I think, will comment on enemies you encounter in the area and sell you his strange concoctions. In some cases, he even sells you relics, too. Most of his items, however, alter your stats: strength, luck, dexterity, agility, HP, and MP. You can see how much of each of these you have in the pause menu.
As you can probably guess, these stat buffs don't carry to your whole party, but no one can blame them. Who would want to share the Big Bob? You can also purchase a single key and a single full heal from the owl. We recommend waiting until after you fight the boss of the act, then come back to the shop for the full heal. It's a full heal every time, no matter how much HP you have left. This shop will show up in every single act, except the final maze. You're on your own in there.
After you've fought through the first 6 acts with as many bosses, forged 3 different packs with as many divine icons, eaten enough meat and questionable soup to challenge any free healthcare system in the world, and combo counted your way into infinity, you come face to face with the final boss of the maze. He's pretty tough, but unlike the bosses of the 3 second acts you experienced, he can be broken and juggled, so just do that. Then you beat him and credits roll.
Wait, what? It said that the rot was repelled for now, and the power of 3 can stop it. Does that mean I have to clear a full run with each character?
Nope.
Does that mean I have to use the 3 different characters in each of the 3 different acts, thereby leaving me weaker in each successive area because I'm starting at level 0 in levels that get harder as time passes, with only icons, keys, and coin being shared between them? Basically meaning my forest level character gets a walk in the park set of battles, while the Snow Peak character gets steamrolled by enemies I powered up my other 2 characters to fight, but can't?
Yep.
That seems fair. At least you get to pick your strongest character for the maze and final battle. Then the real final boss occurs, which is a giant three-pronged battle. Each character takes on a different part of the fight, and after your first character, whoever you chose for the forest level, takes a third of the huge HP bar at the bottom of the screen, the battle shifts to the next character, then to the final one. Then it crashes, and you get to fight this three-part boss over again. This happens every time you confront the boss. You'll beat it, the game crashes, then you fight it all over again. What's better than a prolonged fight for no extra rewards? The end of this paragraph.
Then you get the true ending, which is really underwhelming. The sky cracks and pieces begin to fall to earth. The playable characters wonder if fighting the rot, the reason the game fucking exists, was really worth it. Then, before any answers happen,
The game ends! Credits roll! You unlock additional difficulties and costumes that cost, wow, that's a lot of cores, to unlock.
Helvetii is an extremely hollow experience. Your only real draw to come back are the massively expensive sigils that add 5 to your HP or 1 to another stat. Then their price doubles. Honestly, after clearing the first difficulty and seeing the ending, I didn't see much point in returning to the game. I got the most out of it within 2 hours of gameplay. The rest of my time was spent searching for anything behind the repetitive gameplay loop to make it worth returning to. Beyond these random owl statues that cough up coins when you break them and these challenge rooms, there isn't a lot more to this game. It has some of the best puppet-like animation I've ever seen and really nice music, but the repetition and high prices for permanent power-ups are really distracting from the rest of the game. And it's dark. Really, really dark. You need to turn your Switch's brightness up to full in the daytime with the sun angled down on you just right to see anything. I'm not exaggerating. Look at this. Can you see anything? I'm in this footage and I can barely see anything.
Also the story, which is but a speck in Helvetii. Your only exposure to it is in the skippable intro and at the very end. Beyond that, you play through the same environments with randomly assembled rooms over and over and over and over again, until you realize there are better ways to spend your time.
It was fun before the sky cracked. Now everything is falling apart and I'm wondering why the hell the true ending is even worse for the world than the other ending.
Maybe you get a better ending for completing it in frenzy mode.
I'm not inclined to find out. Thank you for watching our review of Helvetii. What did you think of the game? Let us know in the comments below. Alright, be sure to share this video and tell your friends about it, or the area equivalent of the AGA will find you.
Not the case, that's illegal. Don't scare them.